Hello, Val Verde. We've got a bit of a special episode for you today. I am joined by Gary Smart of Dead Mouse Films. He's going to talk to us today about the various documentaries he's worked on and Dark Ditties, which is a horror comedy anthology series which is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. You can watch that now if you like. Full disclosure, I worked with Gary on the film Icon, the Robert Englund story, which is still in post-production. I spent 3 weeks in a sketchy hotel in LA with him, and he gave me a Cheetos KFC burger that gave me the shits for a week. So, hi Gary, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just thinking about that Cheeto burger.
I mean, it was something, wasn't it? It was that scary fucking orange
Yeah,
fluid they gave us with it that really set the whole thing off.
yeah, but you carry on eating it. That was a problem.
Oh, I did, mate. Yeah, no, I ate some of yours as well. And even when I was on the toilet, I was thinking about going back for another one. So, that is what it is. So, I think that you have produced a number of crowdfunded documentaries
Yeah,
on genre films, and you author as well. So you've written books and cult film. I think you're quite sort of well known in the British cult film arena, aren't you?
well, of course, yeah. Everybody knows me.
Everybody knows Gary. Yeah, I do see, because I'm in a couple of cult kind of film groups on Facebook, and I see people like secondhand selling your books to each other, like the Return of the Living Dead one and stuff. And I want to sort of want to go in the comments and go like, he's a wanker, mate. You don't want to pay good money for that.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. Actually, somebody had put a copy of the first book I did, The Complete History of Return of the Living Dead, on one of those kind of like cult kind of pages, saying, "Oh, this book's amazing," and I just put "enjoy." Hoping I'm going to get loads of likes and.
Nah, mate. I've told everyone that just not to trust you. So, you worked obviously on Leviathan. There's Robodoc coming out. We have Pennywise coming out. Do you want to just talk us through everything you've done in terms of the docs you've been involved in and your role in those?
Yeah, so the first thing I actually did was the book. So I wrote a book called The Complete History of Return of the Living Dead, which was published by a company in the UK called Plexus. So I was kind of a hired writer on that myself and a chap called Christian Sellers. And then we were asked to do a documentary called More Brains, A Return to the Living Dead. Now, that was from the guys who made Never Sleep Again, Mikey Perez and Tommy Hudson. They're well known for obviously their documentaries in the States. So they asked me, myself and Christian, to write that documentary. And to be honest, it was quite easy for us because we just done the book. So it was pretty kind of like we had the narrative was there, we knew the story. So this literally was just kind of like going through the emotions really. But the one thing it taught me, was how to do a narrative structure on a transcribe after the documentary is made. So you get all the interviews in, and then how to actually kind of script edit basically. So you kind of edit the script into obviously in preparation for the actual main edit. So with that in mind, I did some kind of screenings in Birmingham. I did a screening in of Return of the Living Dead and Reanimated with Don Cow for the actor. Then we did one on Hellraiser, 1 and 2 with Ken Cranham, Jeff Portus, Simon Bamford, Nicholas Vince. And then we did one with Brian Cox, actor, Golden Globe winner Brian Cox, Manhunter and Trick or Treat. And then we did one for Demons and Demons 2, Bobby Rhodes. Anyway, got a long story short, we kind of thought, let's do our own documentary. No one has done one on Hellraiser. It's a British film, really. American money, but British crew, mainly British cast, apart from obviously Andrew Robinson. And we decided to do a doc on that. And it was meant to be a small little thing. And then it kind of grew and grew and grew, as these things do. And it ended up obviously taking us about 2 years to film, because it was obviously completely self-funded at first. And then we went to Kickstarter to do kind of the US kind of element of it. We had to have about 5 interviews in the US. And then that came out, and that was about 9 hours long. Too long.
That's Leviathan.
That's Leviathan. It's actually, it keeps up with its name really. It's just huge, and but everybody seems to love it. It's sold out, and it's kind of hard to get now. And obviously, it goes a silly price on eBay. Christopher Griffiths and I did a kind of a re-edit of it for Arrow and for Shudder. Then we went on to do Fright Night, one of my favourite films. So we got in touch with Tom Holland, the documentary on 1 and 2 of that. And
that's the title of that one is You're So Called Brewster.
Also, yeah, and that's I think on Shudder at the moment as well. Part 1, we licensed it to Shudder a couple of years ago, but it's definitely on like kind of get the Blu-ray releases, and Sony themselves put it on their Blu-ray of Fright Night. So we kind of got the official sample approval from Sony then. When obviously they did that. Then we moved on to Robocop, then, which is a huge thing, Robodoc, and that was 3 years ago. And that's, we released loads of footage of that already. We have, and behind this, kind of mini featurettes. It's just a huge project, which has taken quite a long time to make. Chris and Eastwood, Alan are deep in post production on that. Then we did a crowdfund for Pennywise. We got Tim Curry, which no one thought was going to get, and all the cast and crew of Pennywise. Bloody hell. Stephen King's It, the original 1990 television series. That's been edited as we speak by our editor Nick Helmsley, who's very, very kind of far into that.
That has a poster by our very own Dan Lyles, who's followed us for ages, and he's done the poster for Pennywise, which I guess you can see online on the Pennywise page and stuff. And Pennywise is coming quite soon, isn't it?
It should be out, I'd say. Well, I don't want to jinx ourselves now because we actually are quite deep into it. I reckon about by June it'll be out without a question, because I've already seen the first kind of baseline cut of it, and obviously we've kind of tightened that up a little bit now. And now we add obviously all the kind of animations and images and audio and obviously score. So we're in a good position with that, a really good position. And then we did one Police Academy, which I'm editing myself. I'm up to 25 sections of that already edited, out of about 40, so I'm over halfway.
And you got Steve Guttenberg for that in the end, because I know that was something you were chasing.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we've had a little delay in that, obviously, because we were waiting for Steve for a long time. Originally, Steve didn't want to do it because he can't explain to us after. He's kind of quite precious on Police Academy. He didn't want people to really delve too deep into it and dissect it. He didn't think it needed to be dissected in that way. And obviously, I can understand why. Obviously, because sometimes people take the mick out of Police Academy. People sometimes a little bit embarrassed to talk about it. Embarrassed. Not him. I mean, fans. We all grew up on it, but not many people go around shouting from the rooftops about Police Academy films.
Right.
We all love them. It's like Carry On films. No one goes around shouting, I'm a Carry On fan. Or Confessions of a Window Cleaner fan. But it was, but finally we got him involved, and now he's been interviewed about 3 months ago. So it kind of changed the edit to a degree, to be honest, because we edited it around him not being in it. So you start talking about Steve, and when suddenly he's in it, you've got to start changing stuff then, because obviously it doesn't make sense. So that's where we are now with that. And obviously the last one we've just done was Icon, the story of Robert England's. I wanted to do a documentary about somebody as opposed to a particular film. I wanted about someone's career. And obviously I'm a huge horror fan, huge Robert Englund fan. And thankfully, he said yes to it. He kind of straight away really said yes. He's very hard to get hold of. So we were quite lucky when we got hold of him. Obviously you with us in the States, people who try to speak to him for obviously film wise and can't get in touch with him. We kind of struck gold really and got lucky, got in touch with him, and he kind of liked us, which is quite good. His wife Nancy is kind of his gatekeeper in the sense of obviously, she filters the emails and she kind of got us what we were talking about. And then, and the rest is history. We filmed that. We've just filmed him again recently back in December. We did 3 hours. Obviously, you were there filming it as our cinematographer, and he gave 3 hours of just gold, non-stop talking. So we've got about 5 hours, I think, of him just talking. So I'm really happy now, because before Christmas I was a little bit worried because we had about 2 hours of Robert, but we had loads of people talking about how great he was and particular films. But now we've got Robert talking about them films as well, so it kind of really flows nicely. The narrative's going to now. So I'm really happy about where we are with that.
Yeah, I think that book ended quite nice, didn't it? Because he was first and he was last. And,
and we've got a couple of little ones to get sorted, outsourced. But I think you're right, because of the big interviews. I was a little bit worried because you don't want a documentary of people just going, "Oh, this guy's amazing, this guy's brilliant, this guy's fantastic." It gets boring after a bit. And also, we got people talking about his films in very small sections, really, about working with him on that film. Not about the whole film. So when someone talks about Urban Legend, it's not about the whole of Urban Legend. It's just about working with Robert on Urban Legend and on Wishmaster and on so-and-so. So to have Robert's kind of input about how he got that film, and obviously talking about his character and the release of that, it kind of really now fits nicely with what people are saying. So edit-wise is going to be fun. And I'm looking forward to obviously getting started on that, probably in the summer. I think we'll start on that properly.
Yeah, I mean that's so that's kind of where you're at the moment, and obviously that's a bit of a departure for you really, because it's a kind of more of a straight biography than, as you say, than something that's kind of focused on a film, which I think makes it a little bit different in terms of what's out there at the moment.
It does. Yeah, we wanted, obviously, as I said, we did the traditional route with Brewster and with Leviathan, very traditional in terms of how documentaries are formatted. You obviously have seen clips from Robodoc. It's completely different to any other documentary out there. Robodoc is. It's more of a dissection of scene by scene, really, of that film. And that's why it's taking some time because we've got everybody from every scene. This one obviously it's about someone's career, celebrating someone's career while they're still here as well. And I think we've had conversations about that because Robert's in his 70s. When Robert passes, it's going to be everyone's going to be a Robert England fan. It's going to be all over. Movies and Empire. Everyone's going to. Let's do it now while he's here to appreciate and see because I've seen it happen.
Having met him, there's no danger, is there? He's full of fucking energy. Jesus Christ, I've never seen anything like it. Blimey.
He doesn't look in his 70s and act in his 70s, but I've seen it happen. We were good friends with Don Cowfer from Return of the Living Dead, and he was quite, he was known obviously with genre from Return of the Living Dead and Weekend at Berners and whatnot, but he didn't really get the credit he deserved. And then, he was quite lonely in a sense with regards to his career near the end. And then when he died, it was everywhere. I mean, literally, Rolling Stone magazine, Entertainment Weekly. It's like, well, where were you when he was alive? Celebrating his work then. And he didn't see that. And it's a shame because he would have loved that because he really cared about his fans and cared about the work. But obviously, was living in Yucca Valley in a retirement caravan. You know what I mean? So
you had quite a friendship with him, didn't you? From what I understand, you had a really involved kind of relationship with Don.
Yeah, we were very close to him in the end. He was kind of like family. He came over here a few times. We went and stayed with him in the States. Weekly phone calls. He knew my family. Went round to my parents' house, stuff like that. In fact, he very much became part of our family, kind of like an uncle of sorts, a crazy, kooky uncle. But yeah, he was very close to us.
And so just spinning back a little bit, what year did you kick off Leviathan?
Leviathan, we started filming in 2013.
Yeah, okay. So we're going back kind of 7 years now, but obviously prior to that was cult screenings and everything that you talked about.
My first dip in was 2010 when I did the first book with Christian, and obviously since then we've done some books on Lost Boys and books on Beware the Moon, American Way from London. Sorry, Friday Night as well. I read a book on that and Hellraiser. But before that, I did some kind of many years ago. I did a little kind of advert for the Sun newspaper on Carry On Films. That was very
right.
Back in 2002 or 3, I think that was.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah.
So our first kind of cult screenings was born in 2013-ish. Yeah, when I first met.
Okay. So going back. So as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, like the principal people at Dead Mouse are yourself, Adam Evans, Christopher Griffiths, and Neil as well. Neil Morris, is that right? Or...
Neil is Dark Ditties. So we've got obviously Chris, myself, and Adam are all obviously Dead Mouse, and obviously cult screenings. And then obviously our side kind of project, obviously is Dark Ditties, which we'll talk about in a bit, which is myself.
We'll get into that, yeah. We'll get into that. I think that's an interesting one to have. So yeah, there's yourself, Chris, and Adam. Adam, I call Adam Clint Eastwood. I think he's like the yin to your yang. I think you've got very different energy. You two together sort of balance each other out. It's really funny. Whilst I was like in Palm Springs trying not to shit my pants, I had you two there. The bats out, and obviously Chris. I'm going to try and get Chris on sooner or later. I have spoke to him about it because I believe there's a lot of crossover between our audiences. I've had a few people. We talked about Icon when I came back, and I talked to the patrons about Icon, and a few people have said like, "Oh yeah, sure, no, I know the guys." Like some of our people, I can't remember names right now, but some people sort of know you and have met you. Others have backed your projects. So yeah, it'd be quite nice to sort of get Chris on as well and have a chat about that because I know I've seen bits of Robodoc, and Robodoc is involved. I mean, I personally think it's going to be worth the wait.
Don't massage his ego too much.
Oh no, I mean you didn't direct it, so I don't give a shit what you think.
Yeah, I produced it. It's my idea.
Sounded hands off to me, mate. I don't think. No, yeah. So I mean, I think a lot of our obviously we're in what we're talking about in terms of our audiences. I think they do cross over, and I think a lot of people
That's how we met, didn't we? To a degree, through.
Yeah. Well, I got asked to come on Icon 10 days before the flight. So I just had to sort of drop it. It's like, do you want to come out to LA and meet Robert England and shit? And I think I spoke to you once on the phone about something completely unrelated.
Yes,
I was like, yeah, I think I do. Yeah, I think I will do that. Fuck it, like whatever. So yeah, we
But that's a testament to your work on on your show and and your channel, because we saw the quality of it, and that's not massaging your ego now, but we saw the quality of that. And obviously when we were struggling to have somebody, because we got last minute somebody pulled out an icon, you were the first person we thought of, because we were desperate.
See, what I was about to say. What I was about to say is this is the nicest we've ever been to each other, and it lasted about 16 and a half minutes.
And I'm a huge fan as well of Halloween, and obviously you look like Dr. Loomis. So
I look like Dr. Loomis. When we were away, you kept mispronouncing the name of this channel, which was great. It's a shame that you really cared about my work.
I don't really care. Verdo, Velacey, what's it called? Cafe Verdo?
Oh, I'm not really releasing this, mate. I'm just stringing you on. Right. So yeah, I mean, obviously, the other thing that something that surprised me, because obviously I was aware, I backed Robodoc when it initially came out, because Robocop is very much my thing, and I wanted to see that made. So I didn't know you guys or anything then. I just coincidentally did back Robodoc, and I bought the Arrow. Well, no, I bought the Arrow Blu-ray for Christmas. My mum got me it because my family know how Robocop I am, and you guys have a commentary on there, and other stuff. And I did actually, when I was sat around having a drink at Christmas, and I was like, I'm going to put the boys' commentary on.
You are sad.
I listened to it for about 3 minutes. I was like, no, weird, can't do this. Turn it off. I watched the Burbs instead. I was just like, I can't watch it for your commentary. That's fucking weird.
It took us 5 hours to record that commentary. Don't ask me why. We record. Well, I know why. Eastwood. We recorded. We done commentary on Return of the Dead 1 and 2. Then a commentary on Robocop 2 and 3. And we just did it like as you would naturally. We watched a film and did the commentary, no stopping, no gaps. But they wanted it perfect. Eastwood and Chris did for Robocop. Bloody hell, man! It was 5 hours just sitting there. Right. It's by the end of it, I was drinking wine.
Yeah, well, so obviously Duncan and I are known for our commentaries, which we've been doing for a long time. Yeah. Our podcast, whereas you guys' stuff is actually out on released stuff that you can watch. Some of it. some of it, yeah, like large sections of it. So yeah, I know a lot of our audience will have picked up the Arrow release, and it has some Robodoc adjacent stuff on it, and some Robodoc stuff on it, obviously. And Chris has written an essay for the little book that's in there. So on the back of the fag packet, So that's good. So
I want to say something really quick about the Kickstarter fans, really, and pledges, because we've been really lucky, I think. We get a little bit of grief sometimes with the docs not coming out, and obviously, but that's why when we prove we're actually still working on it, and obviously trying to make it as best as possibly can. But we've been quite lucky, I think, with the whole Kickstarter kind of process. We always try and make sure we have the best possible product out there. I mean, the other day I posted on the Pennywise page about obviously just doing a preview of what the case is going to look like, and obviously, we try our best to make sure that our product is perfect. We're collectors, so. I know.
Yeah, and you expect that quality of release. As people who are into horror and cult stuff, they want that gourmet kind of treatment.
I'm a collector, so I want it to look nice. I want it to look, smart. I want it to be visual. I want the case to look great. I want the inner cases. I want the O cards. So I think the good thing about what we do is that when people do moan, but actually they get value for money. And I think when we talked about something like Fright Night that came out, Brewster. That was supposed to be an hour and a half documentary on Fright Night. We released a 4-hour documentary on 1 and 2 with a comic and inside and an O card, a collector's edition, an extra trailers, that kind of stuff. We always want to do that a little bit extra. So yeah, it takes time, but we do extra because we're fans and we're collectors. We're in it because we love it. We don't make money off these things because if we did, we wouldn't be working full time. So
yeah, well, that's a good segue because obviously, I think I was trying to come around to this earlier, but I derailed myself. So yeah, like I was saying, I didn't really meet you, and I met you at fucking Gatwick Airport,
Yeah.
And by the way, there was just another bald man there, and they thought that was me because it's like there's a bald guy in a suit, and you were like, "Why is he wearing a suit?" He didn't look like me, just another bald man.
He smelled, so we thought
he smelled. You didn't know I smelled. Anyway,
the big issue in his hand, I think. That might be him. We said that's got to be him. It's got to be. He's obviously doing a bit of work before he gets on the plane. So anyway, and then
I
you
was,
wear your
I
mask.
was the one. I was the one getting out of your mum's car. That's what I was.
You can't drive.
Oh no, we weren't driving. So,
Ed?
I was.
No.
The point I was trying to come round to, anyway, was
Yeah.
that you all have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
This is not like your like you say
I-
you don't really make money off these films. All the money goes towards production,
Yeah.
and then the end product and the delivery, the pressing of the DVDs and the artwork and
Yeah.
whatever. So you all work full time, which is what
Yeah.
I didn't know, and I think I found that out at the airport when I was chatting to you and Adam. You were just like, oh no, this like we do such and such all
Yeah.
week, and then we spend because essentially we filmed Icon when we filmed Icon because it was the summer holidays, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, yeah, we work full time. You know, we obviously love to break out. You know, but we work in education. I manage 5 schools regards to kind of their premises and health and safety.
and is that in spite of a criminal record?
In spite of, yeah, well, I just changed my name. It was easy.
Did you? Yeah. Miguel Sanchez.
I used my dad's passport. It was fine. But yeah, so we do that. But you know, I'll give you an example. Obviously, how it kind of works. You know, we raised £33,000 for Robodoc. It's cost about 80 odd grand to make.
Right.
So people moan a little bit sometimes about putting 30 quid. And yeah, without that £30, we wouldn't have been able to make it. But when they do, I put £30, it's not out yet. Well, think where the other like 50 odd grand came from. We put that ourselves. So if we were, someone said there once, it was really funny. We had one kind of arse, and he said, "This is a big con. It's never coming out." And I went, "What kind of con is this? We raised 33 grand. We then put another 50 grand in of our own money, and then we film 100 interviews and don't do anything with it. That's the worst con I've ever heard."
Yeah, it doesn't really do much for you, does it? And
I mean,
Robodoc is fucking comprehensive. I mean,
we could raise 200 grand and only spend 20 grand on a doc. We could do that and then pay ourselves a salary, but we would do that.
You spoke to everybody that A is still alive and B is too busy doing KFC ads, right? I mean,
yeah, we're getting there with him.
You're getting there with it, you think? Yeah, because I know there was some movement because you guys spoke to him for the love of sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, we're very obviously open about Dr. Weller. At the end of the day, he has every right to say no, sorry, because he spoke about the film for 30 years, you know, and he gets paid a hell of a lot of money to talk about the film now. And, you know, he's a businessman, he knows what he's doing. You know, if you pay him the bucks, he'll talk about it. So we can't afford to do it. And then, you know, we kind of back and forth for like 4 years, discussing it with him in 3 years. And when we spoke to him face to face, I think he kind of realised what we were about when he actually met us. And obviously, Chris is quite passionate in Eastwood about obviously the project. And he said, you know, he'd do it for money, which is fine. Right. You know, I can understand that.
And he gave you his blessing, didn't he? Because I mean, he was already in the film, not as newly filmed footage. He was in it. He's allowed you to use archive material.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's been great like that, you know. And he did say, you know, when I spoke to him last year, I've been out of all of us, the person who's been speaking to him, and he said, you know, in writing, which is good. He gave himself his full blessing. He's looking forward to watching it. So we always had that, and that was kind of a bit of closure for me, a little bit, because ignore that, a bit of closure for me because it was him, you know, it's him saying, "Yeah, I know you're doing it, just do it," you know. But here's my blessing. And now, obviously, we're in a situation where we did discuss obviously him doing it for a fee, and we need to negotiate that fee. And then what we'll do, we'll just, you know, we can't afford it because obviously our money's deep in our projects. We will go to the fans. The fans want him in it. Great, you know, you can support by Kickstarter for him to be in it. If you don't want him to be in it, he won't be in it. You know, we've got enough with Dr. Weller not being in it really because it flows quite nice. But it'd be great to have him. But I think that's
well, ultimately he wants to be paid, and that has to come from somewhere. So you know that's fair enough. What was he like to meet him? Because you shared the chat with him on stage.
I never did. I avoided that bit.
Oh, did you? Were you not on stage with him though?
No, we did a Q&A before, and then he came on, and I just said I was supposed to go on, and as he walked up, I stood back, which is quite good really, because he made Chris and Eastwood stand. He wouldn't let them sit, so it'll be three of us just standing there like, you know, spare dicks. So I just stood on you know the side and watched. I spoke to him after. He was quite intimidating, to be honest. At first he was kind of like a bit of an arse really at first, and then I kind of really liked that about him. After I thought, you know, fair play. You don't care. You know, you've got no filter. You don't care what people think. You've been honest and frank about stuff. And actually, that's what you want out of people, really. Because if you don't, there's nothing worse. And I suppose in the business, you get the fakeness, you get the bullshit. He doesn't care about that, and actually, you got to respect him for that a little bit. He knows who he is. He knows what he's worth. he was polite and professional to us after, and he was, and the next day Chris went and spoke to him, and he was really nice to Chris. So, he's always been nice to me on emails as well, and I've been speaking to him, and I speak directly to him. I have, and he's always been. And when we came back from that weekend, I emailed him saying thank you, it's a pleasure to meet him. Email straight back saying it was really nice to meet you as well. So he could have ignored it or told me to f off, couldn't he? He never did.
Yeah, fair enough. So I mean, there's still that could still happen.
It still could happen. I think we emailed him just before Christmas, myself and Chris, and he told us to reach out to his manager, who's a typical Hollywood manager. So I'll give Chris a nudge in the next few days to see obviously where the land lies. The moment we're still editing, obviously where Eastwood and Chris are, so they're carrying as normal, business as usual.
As usual.
Yeah, we've got to do it, because it's been 3 years in the making.
Yeah, well, like from what we'll move on from Robodoc in a sec, but from what I've seen, Chris has sent me some little bits, and you've shown me some stuff, and I'm really excited for it. I think it looks really great, and I can see where the time and effort has gone, because I know Eastwood has done loads of really detailed motion graphics and stuff, and from what I've seen, it looks really, really great.
It's going to take multiple viewings, I think, just to appreciate what he's done. I mean, it really is going to, when somebody talks about cocaine, somebody was like cocaine floating around in the air. When someone shoots a gun, pretend,
there's like muzzle flashes, and then there's pages of scripts kind of montaged over. I mean, it's a really beautiful looking film.
He's done a great job, yeah.
Doesn't look as good as Icon, but never mind.
No.
That is
Icon looks beautiful. I mean, Icon's a different beast, and I think.
I was joking, but they are completely different because it's very green screen heavy, isn't it?
It is green screen heavy, but I think what we've done with Icon, I think again we've advanced. Obviously, in everything we've done over the years, you do anyway. Naturally, you advance and you improve. Well, I think it very looks. We want to go for that kind of like. Biography kind of channel kind of doc, but the classy type, didn't we? HBO kind of type.
Yeah, we were going for a kind of exactly like kind of biography. So there's no compositing. It's kind of we dressed the same set a million different ways, didn't we?
Yeah. God, that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, every corner of the room twice.
You and Adam got quite creative in the end, didn't you? Your lamps and you.
Oh yeah, got down the Goodwill and bought a dead person's lamp to dress.
I had a pair of pants, if I remember correctly.
Pair of pants, yeah, that's right. So yeah, anyway, we will move on from that. The other thing to talk about, and I think it's really significant what you're doing with your show Dark Ditties, which we touched upon earlier. So, Dark Ditties is a British kind of horror comedy anthology show that you guys self-produce and you kind of issue on Amazon Prime. There's quite a few kind of British names in it. I think the anthology format, I'm not going to say it's necessarily a British tradition, but it's something that's very well used in Britain. Amicus and Hammer, had kind of TV anthology stuff, but then they also had the anthology films. There are current things in the vein of Inside Number 9 and other stuff like that exist. I mean, it's very much its own thing. Where are you at now? When did that start? How did it start? How many episodes in are you, and how many more do you have planned?
Okay, let's start. So we did documentaries, as you know, and the books, and it's great celebrating other people's work, and it's great, being kind of the voice for people as well and supporting people's work. But also, you start thinking, well, it'd be nice actually if we actually do stuff ourselves, and we're quite creative, I think, and we've got ideas and stories. So I was sitting at Fright Fest a few years ago, and we were selling our wares, whoring ourselves out regards to the docs, and always people were queuing up for these, kind of like screenings of films. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a normal person. I don't know who that is. Obviously, that's a low budget. And I was thinking, well, surely we could do our own. So I was talking, it was just me and Adam there at the time. I said to Brad, what can we do? Like really short, 15 minutes. We know people from Hellraiser. We can get Ken Cranham. We can get him because he likes us. We can get Simon Bamford. So we already obviously opened the door there because, regards to horror reunion. It's cheesy, but we kind of wanted to go for that angle. What can we do? And I said, I've got an idea about an inheritance, and it's been done to death, this story has, but 7 people go and have an inheritance reading, and then they all get killed one by one. And there's a twist at the end. So I went away and wrote this thing called Inheritance, 15 pages, that's all it was. And then I obviously got the cast of Hellraiser engaged, who wanted to do it, which was great. And then I thought, it needs a little bit more kind of structure to it, needs a bit more flow. So I got Neil on board, and Neil was a close friend who I used to work with at a school. He's an English specialist of 25 years, great with English language, loves horror as well, loves the genre, thriller and stuff like that. So he took the script, started changing a bit. We started working together, ended up going to like 50 pages. And then I said to Chris, do you want to direct something? Want a narrative? Yeah, okay. And then we kind of, one of those things as you do when it's meant to be small and you think it's going to be a few days away, having a laugh, filming something, ended up being quite an intense process. And people fell out. It was hard work. We shot it in 3.5 days. And then the aftermath, that was quite difficult because we had quite a nice little project, but we had lots of issues with it. We had some sound issues. We had some scenes missing because you don't think and plan properly. And we kind of salvaged the offer really and built it from post production. And then we kind of thought we got something here. And then Neil had an idea about an old lady, which is a story he used to tell to students in school. Obviously, when they talk about narrative writing, and Gothic, he used to use this as an example about this old lady who's dead in the house and whatnot. So we kind of evolved that story and it became number 2. We thought, hang on, we got something here. So we filmed episode 2. We got something here which could be quite a nice narrative link, because in number 2 we've kind of got little baby kind of Easter eggs filtered through from episode 1. And then we thought, let's develop it further. And we had some ideas. We did Finders Keepers, which is kind of a prequel to The Offer. Then we did The Witching Hour. So cut a long story short, as I've gone on, we've now obviously built the cast up. We've got new cast members, Ian Gowder from Game of Thrones. We've got obviously Bruce Jones, Mark Wingert. We've got Kenneth Cranham, Simon Bamford, Nicholas Vince. Next week we're shooting scene 1 of episode 5 with Ian Beattie from Game of Thrones as well. So we've built up a series really. So now we're on episode 5, which we filmed. We've just finished filming the main bulk of it in October, and that's a feature length episode with Ian Gowder. And obviously we've got one more scene to do for that episode in next weekend, actually, with Ian Beattie. And then we're writing episode 6 as we speak. I've been talking to Neil this afternoon about episode 6. So this is going to be a 6-part series, and then we're going to move on to season 2 then next year.
So from when did The Offer take place? When did you film The Offer?
Well, The Offer, we filmed that in, what are we in now? I can't remember what we're in now. 2017. So we've done quite a while considering.
3 years ago. Yeah, well, yeah, so, I mean, it's 3 years to create 6 episodes, one of which is feature length. They tend to be 45 minutes to an hour, don't they? The
Offer is 50 minutes. Episode 2, Mrs. Wilshire, is an hour. Episode 3, Finders Keepers, is 45. An hour and 25. Episode 4, which is The Witching Hour. And episode 5 should be about an hour and 25, hour and a half.
Yeah. Okay. So, and these are, you can watch them on Amazon Prime now. They're very lovely looking pieces, I must say. Like, they're beautiful, really nicely shot, really nicely staged. Finders Keepers as well. I mean, they're all funny, but Finders Keepers had me really kind of laughing. I really, really liked that episode.
That's a showcase episode, really, because I think it kind of, episode 1 is kind of, he's kooky and fun and gory. Little issues that we notice straight away. Obviously, filmmakers will notice. But again, people really love it. Episode 1. Episode 2 is very dark, very, very dark. There's bits of humour, but it's a very kind of dark subject matter. Episode 3 is the kooky one, the fun one. The gangsters, a bit of gore. So I love episode 3. I think when we do talk to people about the series, we always say go and watch episode 3 because obviously you get a kind of a gist of the series there, but you want to obviously get a bit more emotional or a bit more dark, watch episode 2. Whereas episode 4, I think it's a little mixture of both. Episode 4 is.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are your influences here? Really? I mean, because obviously a lot of what influences you in terms of horror and stuff, we've talked about this personally, and we've talked about it tonight. We've mentioned Hellraiser and obviously Nightmare on Elm Street and all this stuff. Yeah. But from having watched Dark Ditties, it's anchored very much in that kind of Britishness. I think it feels sort of like a modernized kind of Amicus or Hammer type thing, but with your own spin on it. Because personally, and I get a lot of shit for this, I'm not a fan of Hammer and Amicus stuff. I tend to find it a bit dreary. Whereas this, I find it had your because I met you guys first, then watched them, and it has your humor in it. It's quite snappy and quite sharp. I'm calling you a cunt by stealth, mate. But yeah, what are your influences, really, like broadly speaking?
I mean, I will say, I love League of Gentlemen. As much as kind of we get compared a little bit when we try and pitch this to studios and whatnot, we get compared to Inside Number 9. But I do love League of Gentlemen. I love Inside Number 9. I love comedies like Rise and Damp, like Porridge, like Fools and Horses. we kind of got, even though Full was a completely different comedy, what Full also did really well was that it had the comedy, but also the emotional element to it as well. As you watch a series of that, when you get really about life and about people, and death as well. Grandad dies. You have Cassandra, Rodney's wife, loses a baby, and it really touched upon that. So that kind of is an influence to us in a very weird way. And then obviously you have the horror element there as well. So the Hammer horror films, the kind of Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt. But again, you're right. It's our humour's in there as well. I mean, our characters aren't nice characters either. We didn't want to do that. We didn't. Most of our characters are cunts, to be honest. Most of them are not likable people. We try to make it more real then as well. That these are all damaged people in their own ways, and then any of the episodes are like that. And we all come across people like that in life. Like yourself. I've met you.
Yeah, I am awful.
Yeah, but and that's what we wanted to do. So we wanted to have a bit of realism. Neil is a huge fan of kind of literature, Dickens. He loves Inspector Calls, things like that. So we've got a nice kind of you've got my kind of twatty humour going into it, and the horror. And Neil's use of the English language, I think, as well. He's excellent, and Adam balances us in the middle.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of what gives it that, that sort of perhaps Dick Francis, feel, that kind of 70s British feel. It's got that kind of wordplay based humour that feels kind of like the Two Ronnies and that kind of thing.
And the weird thing is, because of the limitations on budget, limitations obviously on time and stuff like that, we've had to actually write more dialogue. So our episodes are dialogue driven because then you can get away, obviously, with action scenes and stuff like that. So actually, it's kind of worked in our favour by a very weird way that the dialogue actually really helps us, because when you get strong actors doing dialogue, as you know, and a great cinematographers like Ben and Terence, and a great effects from Stuart Conran, and a score from Sean, which is amazing, you kind of can really rely on the dialogue really heavily then, and it's sharp. And I watch some stuff now, and I'm not being an arsehole, I am. But when you watch some stuff and you get some, kind of mainstream release, and you're thinking, that's shit. And dialogue's corny and the acting's corny. I hope, of course I'm biased, but I hope when people watch our stuff, they actually appreciate the dialogue and appreciate, the quality there. And we try and be a bit more better than the low budget as the £7 shelf stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just referenced Dick Clement and Ian Frene, and particularly Finders Keepers is a good example of that kind of, that felt sort of porridgey, because it's largely about people stuck in shit jobs and situations and being in a place they don't want to be in, because that's so dialogue driven.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil that episode, but it's built around a conceit, and it's groups of people that stuck doing things they don't want to do.
Yeah.
And and kind of like loser characters as well, which is something that Britain does. I wouldn't say, for example, Fletcher is like that, but the whole cast of Dad's Army are definitely like that.
But you say that, but he's in prison, so
yeah. But he's like King Turd of Shit Mountain, though, isn't he?
He is,
He was, he's the winner in the prison, because in Going Straight, it's kind of miserable for.
Because he's out, yeah.
Which nobody cares, but I think we talked about this. Going Straight's fucking brilliant, and it doesn't get the credit. But anyway,
but then you look at Alan Bennett. I'll give you a very quick story.
Sure.
We had somebody who was, I won't mention names, but somebody who was really interested in the offer, a producer who was quite well known, loved the offer, and wanted to work with us. He talked to us about working obviously in Bulgaria, because it was cheaper to do productions over there, and really expanding the series. And we were getting hardens over this, kind of stage, thinking, we're going to make it. And then we submitted the script to him for Mrs. Wilshire, and he fucking hated it. He was quite cruel, to be honest. He said that it should be modernised. It shouldn't be about an old lady in the house. It should be someone in an office block. Kind of fits the whole point of the story, being a modern office block. But the one thing he said that really kind of irritated us, he said, Alan Bennett could do this production. You can't. We thought, considering our influence on that episode was Alan Bennett, and obviously the episode we influenced was a cracker under the settee with For a Herd, where it's an old lady talking to the screen, a bit like House of Cards with Kevin Spacey, Frank Underwood, that it breaks the fourth wall. We were doing it in episode 2. So in a way, he knew what we were trying to do, but he slagged us off. So we obviously parted ways with him, and I said to Neil, fuck it, we're going to do the episode. We're not going to have somebody tell us we can't do it. And we did. And our first review was from Ramsey Campbell, who's a kind of, we speak about horror writers in the UK. You get Clive Barker, but Ramsey Campbell's up there. as kind of like a horror kind of like icon in literature for the UK. And his review was, it's like an Alan Bennett script directed by John Carpenter.
Oh, well, there you go.
I just thought, fuck you, the other person, because what we had to achieve, we achieved really, because we made a horror version of a Alan Bennett story. And I just thought, sometimes you have to stick to your guns really, because at one stage we were going to say, fuck it, let's not do it. And then we said, no, we've invested in it. We've got the cast already. We've got everything, so we've got the prosthetics already. We're going to do it. And we pulled it off. I think we did. And it's quite, it's a nice episode. People watch it. People cry. People are uncomfortable watching it. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. And, you stick to your guns, don't you?
Yeah, no. Are you? Is this all self-funded as well for Dr. East?
It is, yeah. We had a private investor. I mean, I funded some myself as well. We've worked it out now in a quite nice way, because obviously, the offer was quite not expensive, but the offer obviously, was a bit all over the place regards to how we kind of use the money, because you get a bit wild. Let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, and obviously now we kind of really got it down to like exactly what things cost, what favors we can pull. So yeah, I mean it's completely self-funded. It's a very small team making it. It's myself. Chris directed episode 1. But then now it's myself, Neil, and Adam writing and producing and directing. And we've got Ben and Terence, our cinematographers. We've got a sound guy, Mark Levine, a composer in the States called Sean, and our editor, Nick, and Stuart, who's our effects guy. Very, very small crew. We shoot him in, we shot The Witching Hour in 5 days. It's sorry, I got a dog squeaking a toy here.
That's right. We got some beagles on the go in the background.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. One of my one fans. But yeah, we what we achieve, and I think that's what we're trying to sell it as. We can do this on 15 grand an episode with a cast which is quite well known in certain circles.
They're a recognisable cast. I mean, even from the degree of looking at them going like, oh well, it's that guy. They're a recognisable cast.
And I think what we did is, and this is not saying we did it because they were. They were easy to get. Some of them weren't, but we looked at someone like Bruce Jones, who's known for Les Battersby. This guy was winning awards back in the 80s for Ken Loach films, and and then he became Les Battersby, and suddenly it's all he's known as. But he's actually a fucking really good actor. You ignore the press crap, you ignore what stuff you read about him. When you get him on set and give him a character, he completely, becomes that character. For us, he's played in episode 1 a car salesman who's a knob. Episode 2, played a paedophile ghost. Episode 3, he played a kind of like Dal boy, kind of like wily brother. Episode 4, he played a gay camp clairvoyant. Episode 5, he just played for us kind of a kind of like roughish kind of truck driver, so lorry driver. So he's got such a range actually as an actor. Now you look at Mark Winger, who played Jim Carver in The Bill. He's played a gangster for us, played a priest for us, played a producer. So we are trying to get actors who are known for one thing, but actually give them something a little bit different to do as well. When you look at Simon Bamford, he's known for Hellraiser. And Simon will openly say he's known for being the Butterball Cenobite in a big fat costume, not with no lines. We're giving him roles now, which he's amazing at, and he's actually showing what he can do, So his theatre work from back in the day, he's coming to fruition again now because he's actually able to act. So, we're amazed.
Anthology series tend to have, quite often have a sort of connecting device. Inside Number 9 is a good lazy man's example because, it revolves around things with the number 9. It's very loose structure, but it's the way they do it. And obviously that's Rhys with Steve Pemberton anyway, so they are, they're always going to be in it. The thing with Dark Ditties, it seems to me, is your revolving and returning cast is what creates that kind of connecting tissue because they play different characters. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, what we've done is, the only person that doesn't play different characters is Ken Cranham. He plays the same character throughout the whole series. So what we've done is we've got a series which can be standalone. There's a narrative flow going through it. So every episode is connected somehow to the previous one. And there's an underlying kind of story that connects everything together. It's a bigger world, basically. But in the same world, you'll have Bruce Jones playing 4 different characters, 5 different characters, 6 different characters. But those people exist in the same world. So the character of Bishop in episode 1 that he plays exists in the other episodes when he's playing something else. So, example, in The Witching Hour, in a seance scene, Bruce is talking to himself from episode 1. He's playing a character in episode 4, but talking to his character in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
The old man from episode 2 has a cameo in episode 4 as well. So Bruce is playing 3 characters in episode 4, but they're supposed to be different people. So, and that's how we're doing it. So we're kind of trying to have an anthology series, which you can watch standalone, has a narrative link, but the actors come back playing different characters, but existing in the same world. The only person at the moment, the only 2 people, I think, or 3 people, sorry, who've played the same characters is Danny Stewart's played the Gimp. Great. Great. And Ken's played Benoit throughout the series, and Siobhan Command's played Annie throughout the series as well.
Is it? Would you agree that you're punching above your weight? I mean, is that the idea? And I mean that in a positive way. You punched above your weight. You're competing with things at a higher kind of, let's say, budget and kind of within a broadcast system or whatever.
We are fighting to survive, I think.
You think really? Is that? I mean, that's quite a drastic.
No, we are. Yeah, we make these episodes. We put everything into them. I mean, everything into them. We batter our cast and crew. I mean, we really do physically. They're working 14-hour days to get these things done, and they're being paid, but they're doing it as well because we know it means a lot to me, Adam and Neil. We are hopefully putting quality episodes out, with a narrative and good acting and good cinematography. But we're competing against a world which is full of low budget horror, full of festivals which are very incestuous, which I'll openly say that. A number of horror festivals won't even give you time of day unless you know somebody who runs it. Same people every year going to same festivals. We've obviously got the likes of Inside Number 9, which has monopolised the UK horror. As much as I love Inside Number 9, I can't wait for season 5. I cannot wait. But the only horror we have in this country is Inside Number 9 and some Charlie Brooker, which is now Americanized with Black Mirror. Whereas in the States, you've got such a wide range of series regards to horror, and it's big horrors now. But in the UK, you're up against Inside Number 9. So yeah, we're fighting to survive a little bit. I think we are. We desperately want it to be out there. We desperately want people to talk about it. Every review we've ever had, about sound like an egotistical knob, has been 5 stars, very positive. Every critical review we've had has always been 5 stars, 4 stars. But it's just not getting the audience it needs, really, because it's just hard to get a series out there which is independent. So that's what we're at the moment. We're desperately trying to get, that's what I could do in this as well, to get people to just go, give it a chance. I know for a fact people watch it. Hopefully they'll enjoy it, but they want to watch another one. So we have a fan in the States who's obsessed with the ditties, and that's travelled across there, and someone's obsessed with it.
I've no doubt that person is listening right now.
Probably.
They will be. It's going to go on my Facebook, and therefore will travel.
It's frustrating. I mean, but imagine it is for everybody else in the business as well who are trying, their hardest. I said to Neil the other day, and I'm rabbiting on now. I said to Neil, what I don't want to happen with the ditties is we get a distribution deal, and it ends up in Amazon at £7 on the shelf. And then on Monday morning, we're back at work. For me, it's doing it then. I'd rather just continue doing what we're doing because we're doing it for the love of it. But I would hope that someone would look at the series and go, hang on a minute, these guys have done this for 15 grand. What can they do for 100 grand? What can they do for 50 grand?
Do you ever worry? And I'm not kissing your ass. I'm just like, because they look like more than 15 grand because they're shot on. You shoot on a red camera, like Alexis or something, right?
Yeah.
So who's your DP on the series?
We've got 2. We've got Terence Wilkins and Ben. But they kind of share responsibility. Both amazing. Terence is a 10-foot tall Justin Bieber who has capped a row of pink tents. Yeah, he's getting married next year. God knows who to. Don't know his name. No, woman. But he's a prima donna. But he's amazing. You pull up with that. I'm an arsehole when I want to be, as you know.
I can confirm that. Yes.
Yeah. But we all have our kind of little quirks. But he's such an eye for detail and an eye for film. And then Ben, on the other hand, loves film as well. So Ben's brilliant. So Ben's the one. You go and say something to Terence, and he'll start talking all this technical stuff. And you go to Ben and go, Ben, I just want a close up on his face when he walks through a door and blood hits him on the face. No problem. And he goes and tells Terence that's what we need. Where I explain it to Terence, he doesn't understand. He wants a lamp hanging off someone's head. So no, we're very lucky to have both. And again, like we've talked about, obviously about myself and Chris and myself with Adam. It's very much the same there with Terence and Ben. That they kind of really balance each other off. I think when I argue constantly with Terence. So when I argue with Terence, Ben will come over and go, "Listen, let's just do this," and then it's done.
Right. Okay. So you got that balance there. I mean, because I was just wondering if you ever feel that people perhaps don't know it's 15 grand a pop because it looks more expensive.
Yeah,
Is that okay? Because there are real actors in it. It's not just your mates. There are actual proper actors in it.
I think that's the problem. Yeah, we kind of had that a little bit. We had some advice off of all people. I was quite friendly with a couple of year ago, 2 years ago. Keith Lemon, Lee Francis, and he said,
"Oh right, okay."
He said to me, "Don't tell anybody it's 15 grand because one, they won't believe you for a start, and two, anything you do then they'll expect you to do 15 grand." And for me, I think it's a positive. I think we're saying to people, we can do this, we can pull this together for 15k. What can we do with the 30k or 50k? Now that does mean obviously it stresses me and Adam and Neil because we are doing everything, in the sense of pre-production, right from the casting to the costuming. We choose every costume in detail. We know what that character's going to wear, right down to the cufflinks, to the watch, to the shoes. We know what our characters, right to the set, what's going to be on the set, what picture's going to be on the shelf, what tablecloth's going to be there, what statue's going to be there. Everything is planned in detail, and that way it becomes our baby then. Our stamp is all over it. So you said about the humour and the script. Obviously, you tell it's us. Well, it's because it is us. You know what I mean? It's as much as it possibly can be.
So you're gonna wrap 6 episodes, and that's gonna be a series.
Yeah.
Do you have 6 more?
We've got 14 so far.
Jesus Christ! Yeah. Well, including the 6 that you've kind of got locked.
Yeah. So we've got 14 ideas of stories. Season 2, we will go a little bit different. So season 1, basically, the underlying story is a character called Tiberius Crane. It's not a spoiler. He's basically a cult leader, and everything comes down to him. Everything is linked to him in all 6 episodes, and we want to move away from that in season 2, and have the same world but the new narrative flow going through it. So we've got the story ideas. We just need to get narrative in there as well, but it's one difficult situation. We've had many debates, myself, Neil, and Adam, about this because we've invested obviously all this time and money into these episodes. We do 6. Nobody else has done that. I'm sorry, nobody else has gone out and done 6 episodes of something independently. You do one, and you hopefully get a distribution deal. You do one, and hopefully get a bit of notice. You do one, may get an award. We've done 5 so far. And we're going to be doing 6. So to do a series off our own back, I think that's quite an achievement in itself, but also it's kind of where you have to start thinking, what do we do next? Is it worthwhile continuing? Because are we going to just be going through the motions for another 6 episodes where we're fighting every day? I mean, I saw something earlier on, and I'm going to moan now. One thing that annoys me a little bit is that and again, it's a bit hoary, I will tweet about my ditties, and you tweet and tag someone in who's influential in the business, yeah? And you just say, please retweet and share about, our series, independently funded, independently made. You don't get a single retweet. Now, I know people are getting thousands and thousands and thousands of the same thing happening, but people who are in the industry, you would hope that they would be looking at independent people going, I was one of them one day. I would have, it would have been nice to get a bit of a leg up. But then what you see then, 5 minutes later, is they're tweeting about the mates because of celebrities. I just saw it on the news then. Ricky Gervais has done a video tweet for a cricket player or something like that. I thought it was cricket. Doesn't even know him because he tweeted and went, please make me a video. And then it's like, okay, make me a video. You know what I mean? And I think things like Dart Ditties, and Neil and I've said it a million times, it's word of mouth will get us out there. I think it's people watching it, people talking about it, people going, you seen that little series? Dart Ditties itself, everyone calls it Dart Titties for a start. They do. Go watch it. And hopefully they'll watch one and want to watch another. But it is a struggle. Going back to what I said before, it's a constant fight. It's very stressful. It's very demoralising, but then it's very rewarding at the same time.
Well, There you go. I think that's probably a good note to end on, really. It's out there for you to go and watch. If you want to just be a skank and take your free trial of Amazon and then watch it all and then cancel, you can do that. But it's all out there to watch on Amazon Prime. There's more coming. You can find Gary on, what's your Twitter handle, Gary?
Oh, me. Shit.
Or the Dark Ditties one? Do you know
Dark Ditties, just Dark Ditties, yeah.
At Dark Ditties, okay.
Yeah,
you can find Dark Ditties on Facebook as well if you just search Dark Ditties.
All of our stuff is on Facebook. So you've searched Robodoc Creation of Robocop. You also call Brewster or Fright Night Documentary. You can search for Leivathan, Harry's documentary. You can find Dark Ditties on there. Dark Ditties Presents. You can find us obviously on Instagram on Dark Ditties Presents. You can find us with loads of behind the scenes pictures. All the makeup processes as well from Stuart Conran, who did the makeup on Shaun of the Dead, Save Private Ryan, The Descent. He works with us. Amazing guy. And obviously you go on Twitter, you find us. I'm obviously amazing, well known on Twitter. You'll find me.
Yeah, something like that. Sure. Right. Well, there you go. If you want to go support some British horror. It's right there for you to go and watch. I think it's a fascinating kind of little case study because, like Gary has said, there aren't really people doing that. Just sort of going out and creating a whole series such as that. So you can go and watch it and let us know what you think in the comments below. I think it's going to be in the wheelhouse of a lot of you people that watch this channel. I think I'm going to wrap up now. So if this is your first time listening to Val Verde Broadcasting because you've been brought in by the lure of Gary Smart and his fantastic goatee beard, we have shows out every Monday reviewing movies new and old, and we have full-length commentaries to movies, as I've mentioned, and random odd content as well. You will find us on Twitter at Val Verde Tweets, and you can just search Val Verde Broadcasting on Facebook. And if you're listening to this, you're already on YouTube, so that's very handy. Thank you very much, Gary. It's been great to have you.
No, I got alopecia of the face. That's the problem with the goatee beard. So
alopecia of the face.
Slightly out of order.
Is it though?
At least I've got hair. Anyway,
exactly. You were telling famous people to call me Sam Loomis. You bastard.
Yeah, and they did.
Yes, they did. Adam Green just said I shot him 6 times at me. Which is quite fun. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next thing that happens here on this YouTube. Goodbye.